Hey everyone, so we're going to go through Chainlink today as it's everyone's favorite crypto on my channel, and we're going to go through some of the major resistance and support levels as we broke that $14 that we spoke about in the last month and moved straight down to the targets that we spoke about, and we're now at a really key and pivotal stage. So we're going to go through a few scenarios for you so that you can profit both to the upside and to the downside, and you know where I am buying Chainlink. So if that sounds good to you, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Drop me a like down below and hit the bell notification as well so that you don't miss anything. So without further ado, let's crack on. Now, if you've been following Chainlink on this channel, you know that we spoke about that $14 level and breaking that down quite impulsively if we lost that low at $10 and moving straight down to $8, which is exactly what we've got. Go back to my last Chainlink video if you want to find out what I mentioned there. Follow people who have a history of being correct. But now we've reached this pivotal level, and I want to talk about some of the upside targets at the minute for Chainlink, because I do think that that is probably still the most likely scenario in the short to medium term, and here is why. Firstly, the most important, the big impulsive move that we made down from March, which is about 70% or so. Okay, you can see that every time Chainlink in an uptrend or in a downtrend or in some sort of consolidation phase, is that basically anytime we've made that massive impulsive move to the downside, you can see that we've either consolidated at the very least or even moved on to all-time highs. Okay, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but you can see that basically selling in a region where Chainlink is 70% down in an impulsive move, let alone being about 90% down from its all-time highs, is not going to be a good place to start selling. If anything, you want to be accumulating if you think that this is a good place to be buying. And you know where I bought two cryptos, Cardano and Chainlink, in that May correction crash that we've got, you know that I bought here at about $6.20, and I am still holding. And the targets above that I am potentially looking at, okay, is going to be this order block over here, okay, which is basically a price range of somewhere between $18 to $11. Now that is a bit of a big range, but even if you took a trade from here, not financial advice, okay, and this is why I mentioned if we start to tap into these low volume areas at about $7-8, it's probably going to be a good time to be looking at and buy signals and entry points. Is the upside from here to that next order block is something like a 60 to potentially even 100% move. Okay, and your downside from here is about 20-30%, and obviously if you manage your position size and you trade this correctly, then you can profit from this. Okay, but you can see on the weekly chart that we've got our down, or rather our up candle, okay, before the down move that broke the market structure. Okay, so if we were to come back and test some of these regions, okay, that would put us at about $11 over here, and then we've got some other order blocks just starting here at about $12. And if we drop this down to the daily time frame, you can see at the absolute earliest I would be expecting Chainlink to move up and test this order block between about $10 and $11. Horizontal support resistance would be would make sense to me, especially if Bitcoin continues to correct back to the upside. Okay, so these are the areas that I'm looking for, and then we can still basically create a potential lower high and then deviate, okay, and then basically move down and, like I said, challenge some of these low, about $5, which we'll go through in a moment. Okay, but that would be my primary scenario for Chainlink. Again, we might correct in something like an ABC fashion over here, and then if we basically moved anywhere into this region, okay, and we look at some of these pivot points to basically make a lower high from, which is about $18, $15 at the highest, okay, then like I said, I wouldn't be very surprised. And if we just look at some of the low volume areas and we clean up some of the chart as well for Chainlink, okay, what can we see? Lo and behold, this is why I always talk about low volume areas as key areas to look to trade into and try to capture those major moves. You can see that we basically got some low volume areas coming in here, that if we break through over here at about $8, because we know that if we break past low volume areas, we tend to go to the next one, and you can see that we're getting some low volume areas over here at about $14, $16, and on the weekly time frame that looks pretty clear as well, just over here. Some of these low volume areas, if we just bring this over here and try to get a little bit more clarity over here we go. So like I said, we've got this $9 over here that if we break this, and I'm expecting to challenge some of these little pockets over here which might cause a deviation over here. And the highest I think that Chainlink could go would probably be anywhere at about $27, but this is like in the case that, you know, the crypto market seems some kind of revival and a few other altcoins tend to, you know, do pretty well. But like I said, I wouldn't expect that. But I wouldn't expect that from Chainlink. I still think that the most likely scenario is, you know, to look left, look at low volume areas. Where's the order blocks? Is that, you know, here is our essential horizontal support resistance that we've managed to flip. So if we come down here and we move back over to here, I am expecting, you know, another move down, even if we move up here. Another thing to note as well is that, you know, we are potentially seeing some sort of inverted head and shoulders here over here for Chainlink. So if this pattern does break to the upside, okay, you are looking at some kind of potential measured move from here, again up to about that $11-12 region. So like I said, if we start to break to the upside here and break these key resistance zones at about $7 and really $8 over here, which is the swing high that we got back in mid-May when we got that massive crash. Okay, so if we start to move up from here, these are the price targets that I'm looking at. And also we've got some Fibonacci targets as well, that if we basically take some of these measured moves, you can see that we've got some Fib targets over here at the 2618 at about $13. You know, the absolute first one over here again at about $10. So I'm looking at that, and if we just take an impulsive move or a measured move, rather from the impulse that we got from that swing low as well, you can see over here that we've got again the 2618 coming in at about $12. So I am expecting, to be honest, some cryptos, the right cryptos like Chainlink, to basically you know, move to the upside from here as a more likely scenario. As we're about halfway through the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I'm telling you, these videos take me a long time to make, a lot of editing. And also let me know down below in the comment section below, right, with any altcoins that you want me to cover and what you're doing in this current market stage. Are you panic selling? Are you buying? Are you taking advice and making money from my tips? So without further ado, let's crack on. So our bias from here is not to be selling into weakness, especially after so many red weekly candles in a row, okay? And we spoke about, you know, in our last moving average tutorial video, you know, buying when we move certain standard deviations away from you know, key moving averages. And you can see that in the same way that we've moved down 70%, you can see that we are also at the moment from the weekly 21, we moved down 66%. And historically speaking, okay, this is why we use these methods to put the probabilities in our favor. Whenever we've been somewhere in and around 50%, we've actually extended that and overshot that this time, okay, from the 21 weekly moving average, which is a key EMA that I like to use for momentum, okay, that we tend to get a bit of a snapback and reversion to the mean. So again, where is that you know, weekly moving average coming in at? That's coming in hot at somewhere around $11-12. And if we've been doing what we've been doing in the last two times that we've touched this you know, key area, is that we've basically been using this area as resistance. So we look to this as adding or look to this as you know, basically moving into areas of value for short or selling positions in the same way that we do that in a long bull market. So if we move up to here, I wouldn't be surprised for us to move lower. So those are some of the upside targets that I'm looking at for Chainlink, and I still think that the bear market is not yet over, and the two most likely scenarios, okay, is going to be either one, a move up here, which is my primary scenario, to move up first and then down, okay, or if for some reason the market takes another turn for the worse and we move any lower, I am expecting us, and we go straight down from here, I am expecting us either way to tap out and take out the liquidity and move lower than $5.30, because I spoke about untapped order blocks before, okay, over here. And this is the next order block below us, and we haven't actually touched that yet. And you can see that if we were to move over here down below, okay, we have this real order block of price action at about $4 to $5, which we can basically undercut, take out the liquidity and do something like this, and then basically form some kind of reaccumulation for the next leg higher, which is something that I would expect. Or if we were to move any lower from here, then maybe tap into here and again just form some kind of reaccumulation. But over the long term, okay, as long as we are forming these higher lows, okay, and creating higher highs, I think that the market structure generally in the fundamentals with Link still look quite positive, and I still think that you're buying Link at quite a good discount here. And if you look at historically, what does Link do, okay, when it moves into these consolidation and phases over here where we basically stay range bound, okay, is that we tend to move and retouch and test these areas again. So you can see that back in 2019 when we moved above, broke the market structure, we basically formed a low over here, consolidated, moved up, and then tapped exactly back into the order block over here, which was the down candle before the up move. It's basically how market structure works with order blocks, okay? And you can see that we undercut that low. So maybe we do something similar over here and we basically stay range bound, move up to some of these higher price targets, undercut this low, and tap back into this order block, okay, at a later stage to basically start off the accumulation and maybe make some kind of final bottom. So that would be my expectation for Chainlink one way or another. So these are the things that I'm looking out for, and you can see that we're basically being in this range over here, okay, for pretty much you know, 2 years now. We're basically moving over here, so maybe we just stay range bound, tap into this order block somewhere, and if we move down into the daily time frame, where are some order blocks down below us over here? If we break down below $5.30 as a more specific price target, well, we've got an order block here which is fairly low at about $2.70 to $1.50, which I don't think that we'll get to, but I do think that there is a reasonable chance that we tap into here, okay, which is somewhere between the $3, $4, $5 mark, basically anywhere between $5 I would be accumulating and buying again, okay? So that's what I'd be looking out for on Chainlink for price targets to the downside. So my expectation for Chainlink in the long term would be that we hold this low at about $1.30, $1.40, okay? And we've still got a quite a long range that we can basically accumulate in, you know, somewhere between like 3, 4, 500%, in the same way that I talked about Cardano and Solana in my last video. So I do expect, you know, for the rest of the year that Chainlink is going to be range bound and still have that bias to the downside, but I expect to see the selling start to curve over and start to see signs of accumulation later in the year. The last thing that I wanted to mention for any potential bottoming dates for Chainlink is that you can see that every year at the start of the year we basically get an impulsive move either to the downside or an impulsive move to the upside, which typically define key peaks and bottoms for Chainlink. And you can see that if this is that 4-year cycle that is following Bitcoin, you can see that what we got in 2018 is we got a 80-90% drawdown from the top, and you can see that again we basically moved from December 2018, 2019, we basically moved up impulsively, formed a new high, and same thing in 2020, 2021. So maybe we get something similar over here, again, that we got back there, and we basically had a bit of a bottom towards that spring summer, which is exactly what we have at the minute, okay? And maybe we just continue to range up here and then basically come down and retest and form an accumulation over here, similar to what we got exactly over here for Chainlink back in 2018. So this I would not be surprised for Chainlink, which might set off the motion for that next run and leg to the upside if you're holding like I am. Quick word on Link Bitcoin. You can see that we obviously are in a severe downtrend, but I don't think there's too much to say here apart from that we've got key horizontal support resistance above us and below us, and I'm going to look to this to be in confluence with any kind of BTC, Ethereum bottoms and any kind of major price developments in Chainlink. So we're currently right in the middle of this range, and even if we drop this to the monthly, you can see this is very, very clear. So we can even come down as low as, you know, 1800 sats. And actually, again, over the long term, that might be, you know, an order block that we tap down here that you can see that we got back in 2019. We don't have to get all the way down to the bottom of the range, but this is an area that I'm looking at. It's 1800, okay? And if we move back to the upside, I would expect to see resistance and sellers step in at about 4000 sats. So, yeah, these are the two areas that I'm looking out for on Chainlink. If If you got some value from this video, just please know that these videos take me a long time. I do other things apart from stare at screens all day with regards to crypto. So hit me that like, subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all things Chainlink and cryptocurrency. And until the next video, I'll catch you in the next one.